All right. So, why are you changing your oil? We're going to talk about real quick before we get started with the video. Why do you change your oil? For one, on your engine, you have a bunch of moving parts, all metal, mostly metal on metal. It's either mostly or all, probably all metal on metal. So your oil keeps the spaces between the metal. Like let's say, for example, your rod bearings to your engine crank. Right in between that is just a tiny little bit of space where oil gets injected into. What happens is that keeps your rod bearings from eating themselves alive. There's just a tiny little film of oil that goes in between that space to keep your engine running good. And the second purpose is it captures the wear and tear that happens inside of your engine. So when metal and metal touches each other, you get a little bit of like metal flakes, little bit of contamination, and your oil captures that, and it gets traveled to your oil filter. Oil filter captures it, and that's why you change your filter along with your engine oil. Keeps your engine healthy, keeps your engine from doing some crazy stuff. So like let's say this, for example, this is a 2018 Subaru WRX STI. It's got about 120,000 miles on it. Now, if you know anything about these cars, they're not really known for their reliability, but what can boost their reliability is your ability to maintain them well. Whether it be yourself or if you take it to a reputable shop that you trust, that will keep your car running great. Now, we're not super nice to this car. It does get driven fairly hard. It doesn't go to the track, but it does get back roads, spirited drive, probably, I would say, every day. And it's running good. I want to keep it running good. So that's why you change your oil. Rotate your tires. Why do you do that? So that way the wear on your tires goes evenly between your front and your rear tires. So that way, when you take your wheels off, your back tires ain't completely shredded and your front tires are like still 75% or something like that. And that will happen as you'll see in the video. I kind of explain a little bit with the camber arm. I think it's really more of the caster arm, because on this car in particular, I had a problem where I had some, I like to put premium tires on a nice car because I like to grip the road, right? So I had a $1,000 set of Falcon Zennies on this car because I wanted it to grip the road nice and well. And what ended up happening is after I installed the coilovers, the caster on the rear, no, the toe. Yeah, the toe on the rear was a little bit too much inward. So it's the toe and the camber after doing the coilovers. And what would end up happening is the too much inward toe and the camber for the rear would chew up the tires in just one 3,000 mile session, because every 3,000 miles I rotate the tires. So I bought super expensive set of Falcon Zennies, and within like 15 or 20,000 miles, I took the wheels off, looked at them, and they were bald. And I'm like, I just got these freaking tires like 2 or 3 months ago. They should not be looking like this. Did some more research, realized, okay, really aggressive toe in and bad camber is going to eat your tires alive. So that's why you rotate your tires, to keep the life of your tires, especially on an all-wheel drive car, keep the life equal, because having really bad tires on the back, really good tires on the front is going to eat your all-wheel drive system alive, especially on a Subaru. But that's essentially it. That's maintain your car. You take care of your car, it will take care of you. And spark plugs. So when it comes to spark plugs, step one is you're going to remove your engine, because it's a lot easier to do Subaru spark plugs with the engine out. We ain't doing all that. Anyways, we're going to get the car off the ground. Oil's nice and warm because I just went and picked up the oil with this car. Ready for your inspection. I like to open the drain or the fill thing, whatever you want to call it, for ventilation for the crank, so that way the oil drains out a little quicker. It was literally right behind the oil pan, and it's make sure when you're lifting from somewhere like that you're absolutely sure that you're lifting it from the right place, because if you try to lift it from your oil pan, you're going to destroy your oil pan. With the back, I go for the rear differential. It's a solid lift point for this car. Leave this jack right where I've got it set up. It has like a backup little thing. I'm not working underneath rear differential, so I don't need to worry about I don't need to worry about that jack being in the way. But I need a 5-gallon bucket, get the oil drain, and while the oil is draining, we can do our tire rotation. So on this car, I have set up a Fumoto drain valve, which makes oil changes super freaking easy, especially when you're trying to stick a 5-gallon bucket underneath the car, which is not ideal, especially on a lowered car. The cool thing about it is if I had any lick of sense, you can actually hook a hose up to this valve and have it go to something. But I don't have a hose, neither do I have something to put oil in that is low enough to fit. So we're gonna jam this freaking what's it called, bucket underneath it, open the valve up, and be done with it. But that's the nice thing about having the drain valve is you've got to jam a bucket. You can just open the valve. You don't have to worry about fitting tools or making a huge ass mess. And while that's going, because it does take a while with the valve, we can go ahead and do our tire rotation. It's the only thing I don't like about having these wheel locks is they get stuck in this key that you have to use. But that is what it is. A little ASMR. If you have a car with aftermarket wheels like these or Motegi's, nothing special, but the hub diameter on the aftermarket wheel is a little bit larger than the hub diameter on a factory Subaru axles. So got these little hub-centric rings that will help center the wheel on the hub. So that way when you mount it, it'll be nice and centered on the hub, and it won't be a little off, cause vibrations, cause extra wear in your wheel bearing and whatnot. So when you're doing your tire rotation, this is also the perfect time to inspect your tires, see if you have any nails or anything hiding out in your tires. So during your tire rotation is also, not only do you check your tire for debris, but also to make sure your tires are wearing evenly. On this car, did the coilovers, and on the rear there's no real camber adjustment after you do coilovers. So I had to add a Cobb lower control arm to bring the camber out, so that way the inside of the back tires weren't wearing, because I went through a $1,000 set of tires in like 3 months and absolutely lost my mind. Those are the Cobb lower control, I don't know, camber arms. Yeah, that's what they are. These are the Cobb camber arms. You got to get these if you get coilovers, so that way you can adjust your rear camber so that way you don't burn tires out in 3,000 miles. But also, while you have your tires off, is a perfect time to inspect your brakes, make sure they're wearing nicely, which these are. Pads still look good. You can look at your suspension, everything, make sure everything's looking tip-top. No brake fluid leaks or anything like that. Any bad bushings or ball joints, something like that. Great time. Like these rear coilovers, the freaking boot is completely done, which sucks because these were not cheap, but they're still functional. Could I replace the boot? Yeah, probably. Am I going to? Probably not. But that's about it. Now I got the wheels set up to go back on. pretty sure the engine oil is almost done draining. Let's see. It is still draining. It's pretty much done draining. I still gotta get the oil filter off, but I'll probably put these wheels back on first and then get the oil filter. So you might be asking, Jesse, why are you showing me this? Well, I think it's pretty dang important to work on your own stuff to a certain extent, especially like a sports car. Well, I guess this is what an STI is. But you know, this car doesn't go to the track. It applies even more if you take your car to the racetrack. So that way, you know, the hardest this car sees is a spirited back road drive on the way to work, something like that. But it's important to understand the condition your car is in if you're going to drive it hard. So that way, you know, if you go through a high-speed turn or something like that, you don't have a random tire blow up because there's a big-ass rip or tear or nail in your tire that you didn't know about. You know, I just inspected all the tires. They're all wearing in perfectly. There's no craziness going in. There's no cracks or anything. The tires that this car came with were some no-name, I think they were Chinese tires, but they were installed by the dealer new, probably the most bottom of the barrel tires that you can get. And I think within a month or two, started having some sidewall separation on the inside of the tire, so you wouldn't even know it, that there was all that craziness going on. Especially if, like, let's say you take your car to freaking Walmart to get your oil changes. Depending on the technician who's doing your tire rotation, he might not even catch something like that, let alone tell you. So, and that's the kind of thing where if you don't see your sidewall and your sidewall and tread separating, that's going to cause a blowout. And if you have a blowout in high-speed turn, you're going to crash. To put it blunt, all this kind of work is very easy. You don't need stuff like this. This is honestly a luxury. You can take your wheels off with obviously if you have aftermarket studs, you're going to need a key if it goes with the studs, but you can literally use the tire iron that came with your car to take your wheels on and off. You can get a jack and stands from Harbor Freight. I've been using the absolute crap out of these Harbor Freight stands, and they're perfectly fine. They're serviceable. Obviously, I check them every once in a while, make sure they're not cracked. And then a quick note when you're putting lug nuts on with an impact, don't go too crazy, or you'll strip your lug nuts and or your studs. And if you strip your stud, that's not a good time. So I normally just snug these up with the impact, and then once I put the car back on the ground, I'll go back with a usually a torque wrench, but my my torque wrench has decided it didn't want to live anymore. So I'll just go with a breaker bar and tighten them with my arm torque wrench. It's not going to be perfect, but at the end of the day, what I'm going for is making sure that all of the lug nuts are tightened down evenly. I'll put the lug nuts on by hand too, because this comes from experience from stripping studs and lug nuts. I've done quite a bit of that. I don't like doing it anymore, so that's why I put the lug nuts on by hand, and then I just snug them up a little bit with the impact. I also go on a star pattern, so you can have even torque distribution between your lug nuts. I think it goes without saying, when you're messing with a impact wrench or a key like this with your wheels, you want to make sure you're careful when you do this, that way you don't scratch your wheel, which these are Chinese Motegi wheels. They look good. They're not crazy heavy, so I'm not entirely too worried about scratching them. Like this was not here before. I wonder how that got there. Interesting. Maybe some road debris or something, but that's pretty much it. Once I put the car back on the ground, I will go through and double check the tightness of the lug nuts because I can't check the torque spec because I don't have a torque wrench anymore. That's it for the tire rotation. Let's go ahead and get under there and get these filters out. So the crank is done draining, so I'll close that valve, super easy. And these are supposed to be on hand tight. We'll see how I did last time. Oh yeah, I can get it off by hand, perfect. I'll go ahead and move this freaking bucket over without making a gigantic mess. Like that, that's scary. Oil likes to splash. Yeah, I got a little bit on the ground, it's all good. So literally with the bucket is nice. You could just loosen it. Let me do it with the gloved hand that is not ripped, so we don't have to clean a bunch of oil off my freaking hands. But once it gets loose to a certain point, you'll see it'll, see if the camera picks that up. The oil will come out of the filter, and this is going to apply for any vehicle where the oil filter is mounted on the bottom of the engine. Once it gets to a certain point where it's loose, it will leak out. You just want to be aware of that when you are taking your filter out. With this freaking bucket, I'm going to just let it fall into the bucket. It's probably going to splash a little bit onto the bottom of the engine, but it's no big deal. I'll just wipe it off with a rag. We'll fish that filter out of the bucket later, or probably when we when I go dump this bucket at an oil drop place. I'll get the filter out of it at that point. The filter is out. I'm going to use this handy dandy rag to clean the filter housing. And it's probably going to drip. It's going to drip a little bit, but it's all good. We'll leave the bucket there for now. Actually, no, we can move the bucket and put a rag, put the rag where it's going to drip. Let's see if I can get the filter housing in the frame. Oh, hold on. Let me show you what I do with the new filters. All right, so with the new filters, for one, this plastic, you want to make sure you take the plastic off because if you don't, you will not get oil pressure when you start your car, and that will kill your engine. So always make sure that that plastic cover does not exist on your filter when you put it on. And what I usually do, what I like to do is I like to pre-fill my oil filters, more specifically for this car and my diesel truck, because when you don't pre-fill it, you'll have a dry start time where the oil filter has to fill, or not, the oil pump has to fill the oil filter with oil. So there's just, and it's maybe like a second, maybe less than a second. It's probably insignificant. I just do this for peace of mind. But when you pre-fill your filter like that, there'll be less time where your engine has no oil pressure. And maybe it will prolong the life of your engine. I don't know. The Subaru's got 120,000 miles on it, so I think I've been doing things right. But I also put a little bit of oil on the rubber gasket, so that way it doesn't get seized up onto the filter housing. So let's flip you around and we'll put this sucker on there. Yeah, there's the filter housing, and it's self-explanatory. It's threaded on there. I'm gonna give it one more wipe before I put this new filter on there. You also want to make sure on the filter housing that the old gasket from the filter you just took off is not still on there. But it just threads on there. Get it a good firm hand tight. Pretty much as tight as you can manage with your hands, and that's good enough. Yeah, we got the drain valve is closed. New filter is on. All we got to do is put the new oil back into the engine, and that's pretty self-explanatory. I hope you know how to do that. You should that is like one of the most basic things to do or to know, is how to check your oil and how to add oil. Because if you run your car out of oil, it's very expensive, because majority of the time it's going to ruin your engine, and it's very expensive. Just as an example, for this Subaru, if I didn't have the means and capability of doing the work myself, paying a shop to put a new engine or a refurbished engine into this car is usually about $10,000 to $12,000. It's probably more with the way the economy is now. But yeah, checking your oil is free. Checking it and topping it off is free, super easy to do. Everybody should know how to do that. Funnel, so that way we don't make a mess. Usually I can pour it in there without a funnel. I don't feel like making a mess today, so funnel, oil goes in. And the easiest way to figure where your oil goes is on the cap. On the cap it will say engine oil. It'll also tell you the weight of the oil that your engine calls for. This engine calls for 5W30. I think it calls for full synthetic, but I'll put full synthetic anyways. I was putting some very expensive engine oil in this thing, and a very knowledgeable guy, when I went to go order some parts from him, I said, hey, you got this super special oil that's like $20 for a freaking quart? He's like, dude, do you take your car to the track? And I was like, no. He's like, then you don't need that shit. Just get you some freaking good old Mobil 1 or whatever, your full synthetic, some typical full synthetic motor oil, and it's good enough because this car doesn't go to the racetrack. So here's the example on the oil cap. It will say engine oil, tell you the weight, and even on the dipstick itself will tell you that it is the engine oil dipstick. And this may not apply to every single vehicle, but this is the dipstick. It's got the little oil symbol, and if you didn't know that as the oil symbol, you know now. But this may not apply for every single vehicle. Some of them may not be marked as clearly as that. I haven't really found that to be the case for the majority of vehicles. And it's just over the full line, which is perfect because it's going to level out once I start the car and let the oil cycle through the system. That's pretty much, that's your basic oil change with a Fumoto drain valve. AutoZone started carrying these. I found them to be great. That same guy that told me about the engine oil, he said I should probably take that off because you can lose oil with that valve. He said they under positive crank pressure, which is like when you're wide open throttle, they have a tendency to, I think he said, vibrate open. I haven't had that to be the case. I have noticed that I have had more oil loss with this car with that valve on. Is it leaking? Probably. It's not losing enough oil for me to be like, holy crap, I should take it off. But the reason for one of these is my wife was daily driving this car to work, and she commutes about 80 miles a day. And that would make, in turn, I would have to change the oil on this car once a month, every month. And trying to source a freaking crush washer for the drain plug is not easy. I also live in the middle of freaking nowhere. There's not a Subaru dealer in this town, or the nearest town. There is no Subaru dealer. So I can't get, Subaru filters, crush washers, or whatnot. So I got this, so that way I could just open the valve, drain the oil, fill her back up, and say, you're good to go, get out of here. Yeah, I like these. I haven't had an issue with them. Now, I'm pretty sure if these had a tendency to fail and open on their own while you're driving, for one, your oil light will come on for low oil pressure, and then there'll be a freaking trail of oil underneath your car. That'll tell you, freaking, for one, you either forgot to close your drain valve, or two, it failed. And like I said, if these things were to fail so often, you would hear more about it. I think I might have seen one story where those where that drain valve failed. But we're gonna go ahead and get the car back on the ground, which is pretty much the opposite procedure of putting it up. Do it nice and slow, and there's no reason to drop your car on the ground. I'm not gonna bother recording that. I'm gonna get the car back on the ground, torque the wheels by hand, tighten them by hand, I should say. When I said earlier that I leave this jack on the last position where I used to lift. Makes it super easy when you come back to put the car on the ground, because all you got to do is just jack it up a little bit, move your stands out of the way, and then set her back down, and that's it. That is the reason to leave it. That's it. Super simple. Do this at all. You can save a little bit of money doing your own oil changes too. I'll kind of show what I mean about checking your lug tightness by hand with a breaker bar. Yeah, but like I said, it's because I no longer have a torque wrench. They're expensive. At some point I'll get another one, just not today. All right, so essentially, whether it be just a socket to the lug nut or your lug nut key, I'll just put it on there, give it a nice little push. It was a little bit more tightness to achieve there, a little bit on that one, and I'm also doing a cross pattern on the tightness, so that way I get a good equal. That one was really loose. Good equal torque around for the wheel around the hub. And that's probably about 90 or 100 foot-pounds, if I had to guess. Do this so that way I know my wife can drive this car to work safely. Wheels are not going to fall off. She can give it the beans on the side roads if she wants to, and I know these wheels are not going to go anywhere. Another side note, if your wheels do require a key like this, keep it in the car, so that way if you have a roadside emergency, you can get the wheel off on the side of the road. So that way your key's not at home, it's in the car where it belongs.